Okay, it's the bewitching hour. Start.
Right.
Okay. Welcome everyone to the Wenham, Town of Wenham Board of Selectmen meeting of Thursday, July 30th, 2020 at 5 p.m. We only have one main agenda item, which is new Main Street traffic project update from Bayside Engineering. Other matters that may not have been reasonably anticipated by the chair, which I don't have any. So this is a one agenda item only, and I'm going to turn it over to our town administrator, Anthony Insaldi, to take it from here.
Thank you, Jack. So tonight we have with us Bayside Engineering. They're the firm that was hired to complete the design for the Route 1A roadway and intersection improvements at Cherry Monument and Arbor. So this is with this presentation tonight is at the 15%. So it's not a public hearing. It's really that comes at the 25% stage. So we're getting closer. But this is something that we required or asked Bayside to just do and just to keep us updated. The MassDOT has had an opportunity to see the design, and they did make some modifications, which Bayside will go through with us tonight to let us know what they are. So what I'm going to do is introduce Bruno Campia from Bayside Engineering. And Bruno, you can feel free to introduce anybody from your team that is on the call. So Bruno?
All right, I'll begin. Actually, Norm Brown is supposed to be joining the meeting. And we also will have, at some point, I assume, I don't know if he's having issues, Mark Odorano.
Mark's on, Bruno.
Sorry?
Mark is here.
Oh, he is. Okay, I guess I just can't see him. Okay, but Mark is a registered professional engineer, and he will be the project design engineer for this.
Mark, can you unmute yourself?
Is Norm on there? Or?
I am, Bruno, if you can hear me.
Okay, there you are. Okay, now I see you also. Okay, just beginning. As I said, my name is Bruno Campia. I'm glad to be here again. I was here last in November, at which time Norm and I were here, and we introduced the downtown Route 1A roadway intersection improvement project and its scope, which involves the three intersections of Cherry Street, Monument Street, and Arbor Street. Back in November, could we go to the next slide?
Sure.
Back in November, the PowerPoint presentation was made based on a traffic study that was completed by the Boston Regional Metropolitan Planning Organization, the MPO. That study collected and analyzed traffic data in this area to determine the optimum combination of traffic controls for the downtown corridor and the intersection. The MPO studied several alternatives and analyzed and evaluated them in order to come up with the optimum solution. The MPO recommended a scheme or an alternative that was named alternate 4A, which was accepted by the town as the selected alternative, and also it was supported by Mass DOT as the preferred alternative. That alternative, which you see in front of you, begins approximately 400 feet south of Cherry Street and goes northerly to approximately 300 feet north of Arbor Street. and it includes all 3 intersections. And the total distance from the southerly limit to the northerly limit is approximately 1,400 feet along Route 1A. The alternative improvements include signalization of Cherry Street and signalization at Arbor Street. And the 2 traffic signals would be coordinated to achieve the more efficient traffic flow. The intersection of Monument will remain under stop sign control. However, it will have geometric revisions and improvements. Other improvements will include minor widening along Route 1A so that we can gain some additional width. There will be a bike lane on both sides of Route 1A in both directions, northbound and southbound. And there will be a sidewalk also along Route 1A along the full length of the project.
Sidewalk on just one side?
No, on both sides.
Both sides, okay,
Yes,
thank you.
along Route 1A on both sides.
That was indicated by the red, John. Just-
Oh,
Yes.
okay, I see it.
You will see it better once we get to the actual construction documents. It'll show up a lot clearer. This was just the concept plan that was included with the traffic study. So back in November, Bayside, at that time, we had completed a survey of all of the project limit, which it is part of the set. You would have to jump forward, Anthony, in order to see that. All of our survey base plans. Well, this is the color. If you keep going several slides forward, I believe. Yes, this was the survey, just the base plans, which is the starting point. We have to get this so that we can actually show the proposed improvements, which we have begun to do. So we're here this evening to sort of update you and provide you an early look, on the progress that is being made. If you could go to the colored plans now, Anthony.
Right there, first one.
Go to the Cherry Street intersection, which actually is the 3rd slide. There was yes, this one. Okay, this is the intersection of Cherry Street. And now this is a 20 scale plan, which was the base plan. And we laid out in design. It hasn't been completely mathematized yet because once again, we're in an early stage, but this is how the proposed design on the concept plan is laying out on the proposed scale plan. Again, the intersection will be signalized. It will have, in addition to the traffic signals, it will have pedestrian housings so that it will provide with push button actuation. It will provide a protected pedestrian crossing in whatever direction, in all 4 directions, whichever way pedestrian may want to go. It will have crosswalks. At each of the crosswalks areas, there will be a ADA compliant wheelchair ramp. And this will be, again, it will be interconnected with the traffic signals at Arbor Street. Geometrically, we have 1 through lane in the northbound and 1 through lane in the southbound direction. But in the northbound direction, we will have a separate designated left turn lane. And the traffic signal will provide a protected advanced traffic signal phase so that the left turns will be made for a short period of time or whatever time is determined to have that advance. The You can see the sidewalk here clearer on both sides of Route 1A. And there will be, this is where the pedestrian, the bicycle lane will begin. It begins at this point just north of Old Country Road here in the northbound direction. In the southbound direction, it does not, it begins or ends on the north side of the intersection. We couldn't fit it in on this side unless there was significant widening, essentially the whole width of 5 feet. We'd have to sort of knock the walls down and everything else.
Can I ask you a question at that,
Sure.
about that specifically?
Yeah.
I had opportunity to visit the Maples Old Country Road Friday, and I had the opportunity to try to get across 1A to Old Country Road. Let me tell you, that was a bit of a scary thing to do, and I'm in a big vehicle. And the additional concern is, are the walls going to be, is there going to be any problem with the walls that exist there today on 1A?
The way this is laid out right now, the answer is no.
Okay,
Right now, the cross section of the roadway that you see is within the wall, the existing wall width.
the existing roadway and sidewalk width.
Yes, and
Okay,
the total cross section, roadway and sidewalk are inside the width from wall to wall.
okay, I got you. Because they were quite concerned about that. I actually met with,
There is one pinch point which somewhere along the design will resolve whether we can actually rebuild the wall for a short period, for a short stretch,
distance.
because it comes out, the right of way comes out to a line, to an angle, and it just by inches conflicts or there's a pinch point. So we can either have like a 4'9" sidewalk as opposed to a 5 foot, which is allowable for a short period, for a short stretch. But essentially right now, we don't anticipate having to demolish and rebuild any walls.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good to hear so far.
Okay. And the other thing here is that Cherry Street approach, we provide a 2-lane approach, one for the left, one for the right. And the lane will be wide enough so that we shouldn't have, I believe the right turn is the lower volume queue so that the queues don't stack up. Okay, let's go to the Monument Street intersection.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, you have to go the other way.
There you go.
Okay. Once again, to repeat, Monument Street will remain under stop sign control. However, the biggest thing at this intersection will be, right now it's a lot of pavement area, which allows for a lot of uncontrolled movements. So our intention is to reduce that pavement area so that there will be better control. All of the movements will still be allowed. The driveway will still have an opening. However, everything will be more confined and better controlled. The roadway will be, again, 1 lane in each direction. There'll be a striped paved median down the middle. That's approximately, I'm not sure, it'll probably be somewhere plus or minus 7 feet. There'll be a short left turn lane, designated left turn lane here. Once again, at this location, we will have crosswalks with wheelchair ramps, ADA compliant wheelchair ramps. However, on the main road, because it's not signalized, we're only going to have the one crossing on one side. That limits the exposure of the pedestrians. And in this case, between Monument and Cherry Street, as you see, there will be a bike path in both directions, one on either side, as well as full sidewalk on both sides.
What is the actual width of a bike path?
The minimum requirement is 5 foot.
And that's what you're planning?
That's what we are planning, correct?
So you end up with 10 feet of bike path on a road like that?
That's correct.
Holy mackerel, that's a lot of space.
It's what the standards call for. I will mention that since we started this project within some recent time, Mass DOT now requires a buffer between the travel lane and the bike path. Which
Wow. So it's even bigger
that's
space.
correct.
Holy mackerel.
If we were to follow that criteria, we
Yeah.
would get another 4 to 6 feet.
That's right.
But one of the things that we can do, we would have to justify not installing that buffer. So we will most likely need a design exception. For
Okay.
that. Okay, let's move on to Arbor Street intersection. Okay, here at Arbor Street, once again, it's signalized. All the traffic signal equipment will include the pedestrian housings with push button actuation that will provide a protected pedestrian phase. One of the things that I'm not sure I mentioned as far as the signals at Cherry Street, but both sets of signals will have emergency vehicle preemption, so that any emergency vehicle going through the intersection will get assigned a green light right of way, so that it can go through the area more quicker and more safely. This location will also have emergency vehicle preemption, but it will not only have vehicle preemption from any of the 4 phases, but it will have it. This is the fire station, which exits onto the middle of the intersection. So it will have its own preemption phase, so that it can be actuated from the firehouse, so that it will provide a stop on all of the approaches, and the emergency vehicle can go right out. And also it can be actuated so that it will provide all stop, and when the truck has to go in, because a lot of times the truck has to back in.
So given that we have 3 emergency things coming out of here, police, fire, and ambulance, all 3 will be able to do that same
That's correct.
process.
That's accomplished with
I'm just looking at
a
these things.
detector or sensor.
Gotta go closer
So
to
as
them.
long as the vehicle has the sensor, they can do it.
Okay.
Can I interrupt for 1 minute?
Sure.
Chief Kavanaugh, Wenham Fire.
Yes.
As it is designed right now, we would not be able to get back into the station easily, and we would not be able to make a right turn. We would have to go into the southbound traffic, and the sidewalk, which is right next to the tree in front of the building. The preferred plan would be Plan 4A. And that one did not have a sidewalk in front of the tree there. Basically, we need the entire apron for the firehouse. That was discussed previously.
We can work with you. Right now, what I show just a typical 30-foot driveway. We have not discussed this. I do plan on, once we move forward with the completing the design, to actually have some kind of a meeting so that we can determine exactly what you need and what movements you make. And we hope to be able to adjust that. Right now, I showed this just at, taking, I guess, my best shot at it. The one thing that we'll need to work out is how we can plan and locate the crosswalks. But we'll work with you to try to determine and give you what you need.
Thank you.
The traffic signals operation also at this location will have an advance for a protected left turn. By the way, these will be protected and then conflicted so that you have the advance, but then you can still make a left turn while the through traffic is going. So it's called protected permitted. The lane configuration, once again, is 1 lane northbound, 1 lane southbound, northbound approach, the designated left turn lane. Arbor Street will have 2-lane approach so that you have a separate right turn lane and a through left turn lane. The bike path in the northbound direction ends at this approach, the southerly approach of the intersection. In the southbound direction, the bike path continues all the way to the project limit. And there is a sidewalk, once again, on both sides. That is a brief synopsis of the proposed improvements at each of the locations and for the whole, for the project as a whole. So what's the next step? We can show and discuss that with the project schedule. This is a project schedule that was put together when we first initiated the project. It begins back in March of 2019 and it goes to June of 2021, which is when we projected to have the design public hearing. Right now, we're in the end of July, right here with the yellow mark, and we're doing the 15% design meeting. We've lost a good amount of time because of the pandemic and what's been going on. Under the best case scenario, we think that we can still make the June 2021 design public hearing if everything goes the best way it can possibly go. Moving on from today's meeting, we need to complete the plans that you now have for the 25% submission. Those plans need a lot more engineering. We need to complete the design set, including roadway profiles, typical sections, details, traffic plans, signs, pavement markings, traffic management plans. That will constitute the full set of the bid documents. Once all those plans are done, we would need to do a complete construction cost estimate. And in conjunction with both of those things, we also need preliminary right-of-way plans. Now, preliminary right-of-way plans will show any work that is going to take place outside the layout line. There will there's always some type of work required as far as the right-of-way plans, because even if you're not doing work outside the layout, say you're doing reconstructing a sidewalk and the layout line is adjacent to the back of the sidewalk, there's going to be a temporary construction easement required because the contractor has to work there and he has to have some space in order to to complete that work. Or sometimes they may be, if you're rebuilding a sidewalk and you have to sort of feather things in or anything like that. The right-of-way plans have to be approved so that the contractor already has established right of entry into that area. Once all that is done, then as far as completing the 25% plans, we will submit them to Mass DOT as well as furnishing a couple sets for the town officials so that everybody gets a chance to review them. We anticipate that we will be making that submission sometime around the Thanksgiving, the end of November. Once we submit those to Mass DOT, they will review and provide us review comments. That process is the one big question as far as being able to follow the project schedule, because on a typical project, they may do it typically within a 3-month period. But it's not, we've had some projects where it's taken 6-7 months. So that's the unknown. But anticipating the best case scenario, if we do get all of our review comments within that 3-month period, after submitting them in November, that means that we'd have all the comments by the end of February, beginning of March. And if that's the case, we would immediately review those comments, address them. We need to respond to those comments to Mass DOT in writing on how we would resolve any of their comments. We may need to meet with them to actually resolve any issues that they might have. So that would take us a couple of months, April, May, and at that point we'll be ready for the design public hearing, which even the design public hearing will take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks to establish. So that, following the best case scenario, we would be able to do the design public hearing in June, as we showed in our project schedule. Once the design public hearing is held, we move forward by addressing any of the comments that are made at the design public hearing. The design public hearing would be run by Mass DOT, and it would be the next opportunity for the town officials as well as the town residents to make any official comments. Mass DOT would require then 3 additional submissions at the 75% design completion, at the 100% design completion, before we finally submit the plan specs and estimate. And those are the documents that the Mass DOT would need in order to solicit bids for construction of the project. That pretty much, I believe, takes me to the conclusion of my presentation. If there's any other questions.
Yeah, John Clemency. At one of the previous meetings, you discussed making a sort of say a mock finish of the road, so that we would know what it would look mechanically work like without actually making the road changes. Is that still in your plans? Do we lose them?
Bruno, yeah?
I'm sorry?
Bruno.
Was
John-
that addressed to me?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, I thought, oh, I didn't understand that was addressed to me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I should have said your name. I'm sorry, Bruno.
I-
Yeah, you were going to do a mock surfacing. In other words, like a 1/4 inch resurfacing of color, painted lines and so forth to imitate what the road would work like when it was completed.
I'm sorry, I don't remember saying that. If I guess you wanted to sort of see where the road width would lay out, we could probably just go out there with a tape measure and put a couple of stakes down as to where they might be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that would be a problem, would it, Norm?
But that wouldn't be a problem. It sounds like maybe that was something that might have been discussed with Mass Highway. I think that they were supposed to come in and restripe last fall, but they've put it off some. And I don't understand this 1/4 inch overlay. Is that pavement, John?
Well, I'm not sure they said it would be pavement, but they were going to put down striping, as you just described, so that we could actually see what it would look like and how it would actually work when there finally is these major changes to the roads.
Yeah, I think
Turn
that
lanes
would
done.
probably be difficult because we don't have the pavement widened out yet to accommodate the bicycles and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think that would work.
So you'd actually have to remove the current curbing and so forth to accomplish that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I get you. Okay,
Well, we could, yeah, the only thing that we'd be able to do would be to sort of show where the proposed edge of pavement may end up. That's about it.
yeah. Well, if there was something that would mock the final work to see if there's any actual changes that would be positive or negative to turning lanes and that sort. But I understand what you're saying. If you don't actually have the full width to work with, I guess you can't accomplish that.
This is Jack Wilhelm. I have 3 questions. The first 2 are for you, Bruno, and that, I don't know anything about road construction and changes, but the 2 major problems I see downtown are taking a left on Monument Street, left on Friend Court. So I was watching here. So how are you going to alleviate? You don't have to go back for the other slides, but so let's take the first one, which is take a left on Monument Street, coming, as you enter, 1A, and so that that's a dangerous left. So that how are we going to alleviate? Is there going to be a light there, or what? Taking the left there is you're taking your life in your hands.
At which intersection?
I'm sorry.
A monument.
Intersection? Monument?
Left on
Well, Monument,
coming, from entering, a 1A from Monument, trying to take a left on, Main Street from Monument. That's a very dangerous intersection.
well,
I just, I think it is. I do it all the time. And that cars come from both directions, and that it's tough. So I'm not suggesting you need a light. I just, is there anything in your plans that make it safer to take a left on Monument? That's my question.
I think the 2 things that help from the current situation is 2 things. Number 1 is the fact that right now, because there's so much pavement, a vehicle entering has a lot of directions to look on from.
That is correct. That's right.
The vehicles can be approaching you from some unexpected direction.
Yeah, both directions. I got it. But, mostly,
Well, I'm not saying both direction. There could also be a weird movement from the driveway.
yeah, there could be, but that's
It could
not
be a
common,
vehicle
not
on
common.
Route 1A. It could be a vehicle on Route 1A, but making a wide turn or a narrow turn or any sort of movement because
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
so much
yeah.
pavement. I think you're going to have, number one, if you look at the edge of pavement, the sidewalks, they're more confined. They're more of a typical intersection. The other thing
A
that's
vehicle, I'm talking about vehicle traffic, not pedestrian traffic.
I know, and I am too. But what I'm saying is that as a result of changing the geometry, you're restricting the vehicles to make certain movements more confined as opposed to just going anywhere.
Jack, I think what he's saying
If I
is he's
can-
going to reduce the pavement area so as to narrow the travel path to a more narrow area, thus less vision that you have to have watching cars coming in from too many unexpected areas.
I think my second point is going to help your situation even more. And that is the fact that you have traffic lights on either side of this intersection. It's going to create significantly more gaps that will allow you to make that left turn movement.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I got that. That's a good point. Particularly in Arbor Street. That's right. I got it. So my second question, I think you, I only partially understand all this stuff, but that was a very good point. Second is taking a left on Friend Court. You take your life in your hands if you want to do that. So that anybody exiting Friend Court that wants to take a left, like I do almost every day when I go visit town hall, I'm forced to take a right to save my life. Now I go up and have to turn around and go to one of the
Left turn over here at Front Court.
taking a right out of town hall on Main Street. That's right, in Friend Court, right there, and that that's right. So that what in your traffic redesign is going to make it safer for somebody to take a left-hand turn, not a right. I take a right-hand turn because I don't dare take a left-hand turn.
Right. It's how to do a left out of Friend Court. For those of us who live there, we take our lives in our hands.
That's right. Me too, as a selectman, and that's right. So I think that's the most dangerous exit from Friend Court and Town Hall of all of this stuff. And that
Well, once again, now,
the people coming down Arbor Street don't even see the people from Friend Court or the Town Hall exiting and go left or right. And so you have to pay very close attention to that. And obviously cars coming from the left, but also cars coming the right. It's easy to see the cars coming the right visually, but the cars coming the left don't slow down. Is there anything you're doing here to make it safer to take a left-hand turn out of a Town Hall or Friend Court?
well, right now you're trying to take that left turn and you have to look southbound on Route 1A, you have to look northbound on Route 1A, and you have to look on Arbor Street.
That's right. A lot of
Once this is constructed, all you have to look at is that center lane, the one that shows the arrows through and to the left, the one lane. You only have to look at that one location in order for you to see whether there's a gap or whether you can make that left turn. You don't have to look on Route 1A anymore because they're stopped.
Right, there's a traffic signal, Jack. So when you're coming
Okay,
up,
that's what I'm at. He didn't say that. Thank you, Anthony. That's what I'm asking. Is there a traffic?
There's a traffic signal control, so
I didn't hear that. And if I did hear it, I didn't understand it. Now I understand it. There's a traffic signal. That answers my whole question.
yeah, so once you pull up, you'll get the signal. It's going to call for a red light for 1A. Take the left.
So my last question is more for you, Anthony. So this is a preliminary redesign in that some people in town feel strongly about having input in the redesign. So how are we going to get some preliminary feedback to this presentation from the people in town about what they like, what they don't like, and what questions they might have?
Well, remember, this was the plan that was agreed upon. So they're designing to the plan that was agreed upon. Now, as Bruno indicated, at the 25%, any comments that people have, residents or the town officials, At that point, they'll be addressed. And like Bruno said, they have to respond to during the public hearing process.
But wouldn't it be good to get preliminary feedback from people in town who feel strongly about this, about what they're hearing tonight from this presentation? Do they like it? Don't they like it? Do they have suggestions? Rather than waiting for the 25% design, I think it would be.
That's how construction projects work, Jack. That's not just us. That's everywhere. Bruno, correct me if I'm wrong. Everything that I've ever been involved in, it's the pre-design. You have that point to pick the design you want. You let them design it to the 25%. There might be some modifications that they've had to make. And then at that point is the time when all that can be worked out. I think it would drag on the project. I think that's why MassDOT has the 25% for public input.
That's correct, Anthony. I mean, right now we're having this 15%, based on your request to have this. In many of our projects, we don't even have this. We go right to the 25. And then
Right.
all of the comments will need to be addressed and responded to at the 25.
I heard you, Anthony. I heard Bruno. I'd still like to have people who are actually watching this tonight or will watch it on YouTube or some other vehicle give feedback to the town. Oh, this sounds great. Gee, it sounds great, but gee, I'm a little concerned about X. So that, it would be nice this is a big deal. And we're spending a hell of a lot of money in this. I think it would just be a good idea to encourage feedback, even though this is only 15%, to understand, does anyone have it? And maybe we can answer these questions easily via you responding to them or somebody else. I'd still like to hear what the community thinks about this preliminary design.
They can always send me some questions, Jack. I can share
That's
them.
exactly what I'm saying. It's so that field the questions, and I want to encourage the listening audience, viewing audience, whatever, to basically submit concerns. Hey, this sounds great, or it sounds great, but just like I had a couple of buts in the end, it was answered. Getting feedback from the community is something that's important as early as this stage. I think is important, and I like to see it. But I'm really not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who are viewing this or who will subsequently review this on YouTube or something else like that. So I would encourage our citizens to basically say, yeah, it sounds great, or it sounds great, but, and so that Anthony can then answer your questions with some assistance from Bayside folks or not. So anyway.
If there's any questions, somebody has any questions or comments, you can feel free to send it to me. Bayside's fantastic. Bruno's great. Norm's great to work with.
Thank
So
you.
we can share that information and just make them aware. That's easy enough, I think. Norm, Bruno, would you agree?
Absolutely.
I agree. We'll take whatever questions there might be, and we'll at this early stage try to answer them as best as we can.
Yep.
Can I weigh in with some questions?
Selectman Cheeseman, do you have any comments, concerns?
A couple of general questions. First, as currently designed, are we impacting or taking any private property? Or is it all within the current ownership of the state and town?
There's an area, let's see, can we see the Monument Street? It might show a little bit.
Here's Monument, Bruno.
In this area in front of the town hall, this section is very close, and right now, based on the preliminary design, it looks like they may be 1 or 2 feet on either side that we are outside the layout.
All right.
This
Next
is
question.
it's in front of the town hall, so it's it would be town property.
All right. Next one is especially at the intersection of Monument and Main Street and Cherry and Main Street, have we addressed drainage problems? Are there going to be dry wells especially at the turn point on Cherry, which often floods?
At this stage of the design, we have not looked at drainage at all.
Okay,
That would be something that we will do during the 25% design, because we'll have to do a profile and some grading in order to check that everything works. But that has not been looked at. That's too early for that.
all right. Next question is, are all the sidewalks, other than where they're designed across the street, are they going to be raised above the street level?
All of the sidewalks will have a vertical curb in front of them.
Right.
That's what your question is.
As we're on this current map here, I would echo Chief Kavanaugh's question that little stub of sidewalk on Friend Court
Mhm.
and on Main Street there, really, I think is getting in the way of the exit of the emergency vehicles. And especially the Friend Court one might need to be moved back a little bit, because I think the fire trucks really need direct access. We don't want them having to turn as they exit the fire doors or onto the street. That's just a comment.
Agree
Is
with
there,
Gary. Yep.
I anticipated that I would need to revise that driveway. As I said, I sort of just took the best shot at it to show something at this early stage. The only thing, we will have to work out how we can best do that, because typically a crosswalk cannot lead into a driveway or lead into an open area like that.
Right.
It has to lead to a protected, safe pedestrian area.
okay. The different from the original design, I see on this map also, the on the War Memorial corner, we have a second parallel sidewalk that's been installed there. Yes,
This one?
yes, that one.
Mhm.
Is that along where the line of trees is now? Because I take the other sidewalk as being where the current one is. Is there some reason for the second sidewalk?
That I believe was shown in the concept plan, if I remember correct. But I do not believe that there are any trees there. There's a group of trees behind that sidewalk.
Well, I guess my question is on the map, which is the location of the current sidewalk?
The current sidewalk is closer to this front one.
All right. So just a comment, I don't see a purpose with two sidewalks there, especially as one will dramatically impact the War Memorial there. I don't think that's going to be a good selling point for the public at large. The northbound bike path from Cherry down to this corner at Arbor seems to be superfluous, given that it's going to dead end into nowhere. And if there are, as you said, pinch points along Main Street at any point, I should think the northbound bike path is the lowest priority to, or the first one to go if we need more distance or spacing there. Because I don't see that as it just dead ends there, that it has much purpose and that we can direct bike traffic onto the north or the southbound lane there through the between Monument or between Cherry and Arbor.
Well, I think it becomes a sharzy right here. Am I right, Bruno? Right in front of the pole?
That's correct.
Yeah, so
And
it's a shared bike lane at that point, Gary.
Yeah, but that's exactly where you have cars coming into park at the post office and at the other business things there. So I should think safety wise, we really don't want bikes on the northbound lane.
I think it's a MassDOT requirement, Bruno. Is that right?
that's correct. You know, I know what you're saying as far as the lowest priority. Unfortunately, I believe that may be the view some people hold, and it's not the view that Mass DOT holds.
Okay,
So they're going to, in a way, force us to put as much of a sidewalk, as much of the bike path as we can possibly put in. And even though I show the shared, because obviously you have to terminate the bike path, excuse me, in some way, they don't recognize really a shared sidewalk as being acceptable. I mean, a shared bike and vehicle lane as acceptable.
Right.
That's, we were told specifically that. And when we started, Anthony mentioned the fact that Mass DOT had reviewed these plans prior to us sending them out. And a couple of the comments that they made was specifically towards that.
All right,
That we needed to get some additional areas with bike lanes, specifically this one. And even at the beginning, we were asked to revise the design so that we could get a bike lane in. So they see that as one of their priorities also.
okay, very well. Is there any change to the fence, the metal fence in front of the Civil War monument?
I think that's too early to answer that. The reason I say that is because, as I mentioned to you, right now, we are outside the layout by a foot or two on either side. If we need to shift the roadway either completely more on one side than the other, we might be able to avoid touching that. But we don't know yet. We have not finalized, we have not mathematized this concept, but we do have a little bit of play.
All right,
So if
just
that,
my comment would be, I think from what I've heard from the public is the stone walls and the Civil War monument fence are kind of high interest items for the town to protect.
okay,
Would you agree with that, John and Jack?
I would, yes, indeed.
Yes.
And then the location of the actual post for supporting the lights, especially if we can go to Arbor Street. This will be supported by a single post off the corner of the town hall at the corner of Friend Street, Friend Court and Main Street.
well, once again, we're at such an early stage that we have not actually done the traffic signal layout yet, but we will be using more than one mast arms that you see. Being in downtown area, I believe Mass DOT will support decorative mast arms that you've seen in other downtown and historic areas. But there will definitely be more than one mast arm at each of these intersections in order to support the traffic signal above the roadway.
All right. And I guess my last question is, in conjunction with this, the what I heard at the preliminary briefing several months ago, it was brought up that through this intersection, that all utility poles will be removed and utilities buried.
No, I don't believe that that was ever said. Mass DOT will not pay for that.
No, it's expensive.
My comment
there
there
will
was,
I'm sure we have not looked at that in detail. I'm sure there are going to be some utility poles that we will have to relocate, and that the utility work is very significant. We're going to have to have a site meeting with the utility companies and agree where all of these poles are going to go once they're removed and reset. But Mass DOT will not pay for burying utilities.
Well, I think that's probably one of the public's concerns is if there's an opportunity here to especially bury the lines between Monument Arbor so that if we're already impacting the Civil War fence, that we can at least get the poles and the lines out of the way there. So just a side comment. That's all I got, Jack.
Thank you, Gary. Any more comments by the selectmen? Anthony, are we done?
I'm all set.
Anthony, are we done?
That's it, Jack. I just want to thank Bruno, Norm, the team that is very great to work with, and they're a pleasure. And I look forward to working with them and as we progress on.
Thank you, Bruno. I move the Board of Selectmen meeting at, let's see, 5:56 be adjourned. Do I hear a second?
Second, John.
All in favor?
Aye.
Gary, aye.
That's unanimous. We're adjourned.